I had a chance to work with hundreds of guitar players from different ages, different levels, different styles, different genres, and I keep seeing the same mistakes. I keep seeing 4 categories of plateau, and it's very interesting because the identification of these 4 categories and understanding why that happens can really help. So today what I want to do is break it down into these 4 elements, 4 sort of like kinds of people and reasons for these plateaus. At the end of the video, there's also a quiz. If you do the quiz, you get a PDF with a clear diagnostic of where you are and what needs to happen. So I'm trying to help you here to kind of get out of this plateau. There are very simple, very easy tools that we can apply in order to play better. What I want to do is shorten the amount of time that it takes you to get to the creative part, to the music, to the freedom. Let's dive in and look at those 4 options. 1, the bedroom guitarist. Okay, so we heard this, it's stressful to play in front of people, but the reality is that a lot of times, or all the time, we get good at things we do. So the bedroom guitar player, if he plays by himself, he or she, they will play and it will feel great. They'll play some chords, they will enjoy it. But then the second, their spouse comes into the room, everything kind of falls apart and they're like, and just like they stress out. So there are a few things there, right? And one of the gaps is indeed being comfortable and kind of training our nervous system to be comfortable to do these actions. Now, as humans, we tend to get good at what we do. So we need to actually do it. One of the simplest tricks to get comfortable is literally playing in front of people. Now, another thing that you can do is take your phone, it's kind of like a step before, hit the record button. When you record a video or an audio, you'll feel this slight stress. And I'm saying it because, again, it's the same thing. We get good at what we do, so you want to start feeling comfortable. Now, a lot of times, there are a little bit more gaps or a few more gaps there. Not just the person coming into the room. There is some kind of confidence and some kind of, control over the skill set that we need to really, really articulate. Archetype 2, the half songs. A lot of people start learning songs and they have some of the understanding of the music. For example, if you even take a jazz song like Autumn Leaves. Beautiful melody, they start playing the chords. And all of a sudden, 4 bars in, everything falls apart. They start losing the point, the key, the center, everything is starting to be like, what just happened? Now, this is something very important because when I had a chance to play with the great Peter Bernstein, an amazing musician, guitar player, and one time he told me this kind of story. He's like, if you can play 1 bar really good, you can play 2 bars really good. If you're already playing 2 bars really well, you can play 4. You can play 4, you can play 8, etc., etc. So the point is, right, the ability to play just even the first couple notes of the melody and understanding the relationship between the melody and the chords and the harmony means, and that's very important, we can understand the song. And it can be all the things you are, it can be, any song, it can be Creep, it doesn't matter, it can be any Beatles song. The song is not the point. The point is paying attention to the pieces of information and taking our time to learn things in a truthful way. And indeed, it takes a little longer to not approximate, but the value of not approximating is huge. These folks can really play the information, and the gap here is a lot of times practice bite size, right? So they're taking a whole song or whole complete and complex sometimes task, and they're not chunking it in a clear enough way, and they're not doing it deep enough. And that's, archetype 2, which I'm curious how many people feel they're in that category. Again, at the end of the video, there is a quiz with a little bit more questions, and if you do the quiz, you get a free diagnostic PDF that will help you see how to overcome these ideas. Archetype 3, this is a little sad for me because these folks are sort of like the marathon practicers, and they will play these exercises and sometimes the same exercises for many years. Now, when you ask them to play the exercise, it's not bad. But the thing is, it's not linked in a truthful way to all the system. There is a huge gap, and oftentimes one of the big gaps is linking what you hear and what you play. There is a lack of understanding. So if I'm asking them to play, a C major scale, for example, they will play the C major scale, but when I'm asking them to sing the note A, it will be very hard for them, and oftentimes they wouldn't know that this is the note A and how it feels and how it sounds. So there is sort of like this kinesthetic memory and some mechanical information that they can apply, but they hit this plateau. And a lot of times, the reason for that plateau is this disconnect between the mind, the fingers, and the ears. Now, they have quite a bit of things that are going in their favor, and it's actually not hard to get out of this plateau because they have a good set of skills, but they need to have the tools and understand how to do that. Again, diagnostic at the end of the video. Look, the point of this is understanding where we are, having a clear assessment of the information, and also learning how we can kind of get better, faster, getting out of this sort of like plateau and get to the real music. Archetype number 4, the frozen improvisers. This is very interesting. Here what happens is a lot of folks have a lot of information, a lot of theory and understanding of structures, but there is some issues with the application of this. So if I'll ask them, for example, to solo over, let's say this like A minor thing. So what happens if I'll ask them to solo with me, they will say, okay, A minor, you can play an A minor pentatonic, you can maybe play, a natural minor, or they'll give me a few cool options. But when I'll ask them to actually solo, there will be a lot of gaps, a lot of rhythmic gaps oftentimes, and also the application of that into the guitar. Like they will be able to understand the shape, but it's oftentimes not in time, and then the lines themselves would be approximated. So there is not bad understanding of the structures, but there is this sort of lack of fluency. And what happens there for me is a little bit of lack in sort of like assessment, right? So they will spend a lot of time trying to get more and more and more theory because they feel comfortable there, but they will not spend this time actually locking in very simple ideas as quarter notes, 8 notes, triplets, 16, and they will not spend a time learning simple ideas, even just simple lines over these harmonic structures. Now, of course, this is a little bit of a bigger conversation, but this idea of understanding where we are in comparison to where we want to go is a huge deal in our kind of progression with music. I'm very curious to know which group you are connected to or feeling connected to, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And please also do the quiz. I'm really curious if this can help. Again, you'll get a free PDF. It's all for free, 100%. I'm really curious to talk a little bit about this and have a kind of an open conversation on this thread here on YouTube. You can also always email me after you do the quiz and we can talk a little more. So thanks again. I'll see you very soon.